We are currently in the thick of holiday shopping season, but are consumers ready to spend this year, and what are they buying? Well, to tell us what's in store for the retail industry this festive season, we're joined by Head of U.S. Retailing and Leisure Research, Matt Boss. And Matt, you've just been inducted into the Hall of Fame for Institutional Investor. Congratulations and welcome.
Thanks for having me, Nick. Really great to be here.
So diving in then with some of these holiday trends, what are you seeing and what kind of impact is inflation having?
Yeah, it's a great question, Nick. So the way that we see it right now, I think the headline from this holiday season is going to be a return to pre-pandemic spending and a return to pre-pandemic demand levels. What we're seeing is a very, very strong start to holiday right out of the gates. I think value, convenience, and innovation is really driving the strength so far. But what's interesting is the consumer has catalysts. So inflation is a headwind, but you have gas prices that are down mid-teens relative to September. You have a favorable calendar with an extra day at the end of the holiday season, and you have very conducive weather. So I think the holiday's off to a strong start in November. One of the behaviors that we're seeing is actually some signs of trade up, meaning that I think the consumer, when they're looking for value, is also looking for quality. So we're seeing name brand, top national brands selling very well. Ralph Lauren, Birkenstock, Nike, Lulu, and at the same time, you're seeing a value focus. But what I really like seeing is the experiential. So you're also seeing a consumer shifting, similar to what they were doing pre-pandemic, over into the travel and leisure as well.
So quite a robust picture, really. How does that compare to last year?
I think the biggest difference from last year is actually the inventory level. So if you remember, you had the pandemic, it created a backlog of excess inventory in the channel. We had a lot of discounting, we had a lot of excess inventory. But what that created is also a lack of newness. And so retailers did not have the ability to chase the winning trends and to really have that treasure hunt appeal. So this year, relative to last, consumers are coming out, they know what they want, but now they also know that they need to get it. So that treasure hunt is creating profitable sales, and at the same time, that treasure hunt is creating a must-buy, if you see it mentality, which I think from a retailer perspective is a very, very strong setup from a profitability and from a strength of early holiday.
And just breaking down the sector for a second, how does brick and mortar compare to online this season, do you think?
This is the other piece that I see that's normalizing, meaning pre-pandemic, before 2019, we had the shift. In my opinion, it was the seismic shift that was happening across the retail sector. It was the move from the traditional brick and mortar retailer to the digital channel. The pandemic obviously created multiple different waves back and forth. But now on the other side of it, when I spoke originally about that normalization, we're seeing digital sales up in the high single digits. That's actually very consistent with our top internet team and their projections. But what we're seeing is brick and mortar hold. Now, what I said before on experiential, that very much applies to brick and mortar retailers. So what the consumer wants is they want a service element, but they also want an experience. So retailers such as a Lululemon or a Nike, as I was just on Fifth Avenue walking by and you see a line across down the block, innovation wins and experience wins. So brick and mortar's holding, but digital is really where the growth is. And that's what you saw prior to 2019.
And just looking ahead now into 2024, what consumer spending habits do you see there?
So there's many cross currents. Our economist team is speaking to moderating wages, moderating levels of savings, and at the same time, an extended period of rates higher for longer. In that backdrop for consumer spending, we think that the consumer will remain resilient, but at the same time, they will be selective. So as I look at consumer spending and what that means across the retail and consumer sector, focus on value will be paramount. I think off-price retail and discounters will do very well in that scenario. I think you will see continued signs of trade down on a multi-year basis. But I also think you can win on innovation and win on differentiation as well as experience. So the consumer wants top brand names, and they also want innovation. And lastly, on experience, I think travel and leisure and the shift that we had seen pre-pandemic into that sector will continue.
Fascinating stuff. Matt Boss, the head of U.S. Retailing and Leisure Research. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It was great to be here, Nick. Thanks again.